Hey guys, Irene here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I added the close-up portraits. I'm going to be heavily focusing on dodge and burn, just overall color toning, making the skin look perfect, and just overall making it look a little bit more interesting and intricate and pleasing to the eye. But before we start, I just wanted to show you guys what I have on my Patreon page right now. I will be giving away some free overlays and actions. This is going to be available for patrons that are pledging more than $25 per month. It is a subscription pledge, which means that you will be paying this every single month. But if you decide that you don't want to do it anymore, you can always cancel at the beginning of the next month. So as I said, I already have the free snow overlay posted on my page, and this is kind of the result that you're going to be getting with it. I also have an instructional video on there. It's very easy to use, and it's an awesome overlay for the upcoming season. So let's go ahead and open this in Photoshop. I did shoot this in RAW, so it is opening in camera RAW. If you did not shoot yours in RAW, you can always still open it in camera RAW. You just have to go to Open As, choose whatever image you have, and over here just have to check camera RAW and say open, and it's going to open your image. And this is kind of what we're going to be going for in this tutorial. Hopefully our image is going to look something like this at the very end. I shot this with my Canon 5D Mark III and Canon 85mm 1.2 lens. And if you're interested in the settings, you can just read them right over here. I'm gonna start with some simple things like playing with exposure, contrast, white balance first. And let's play a little bit with shadows, bringing them up just a little bit. Let's bring up the clarity just a touch. And now I'm just going to sharpen it up a little bit and bring the noise reduction up just so it clears up the skin a little bit more. Okay, I think this is about it. I'm just going to go ahead and open the image. I'm going to go ahead and crop this now. I'm just going to crop the top, the bottom, move it a little bit to the center a little bit more. Okay, this looks good. Now I'm just going to fill in the white blanks over here just using the marquee tool. I'm selecting this area. Right click, free transform, right click, distort. You guys have seen me do this millions of times. I always do this, like in every single tutorial, every single picture. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And it's okay if we get just a little bit of her arm because we can liquify it back if we did distort it too much. I'm going to do exactly the same thing and just distort it to the side. Alright, that looks perfect. I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate the layer. So a lot of you guys were asking why don't I use hotkeys, and the reason for it is kind of weird, I guess, but I like to sit back in my chair pretty far from my table, so whenever I'm editing, I don't really touch my keyboard or my mouse. I only do all of the editing with my editing tablet, which again, a lot of people ask me what kind of tablet I'm using, and this is Wacom Intuos Pen and Touch Small. I will leave the name of it somewhere on the screen so you guys can check it out. But yeah, I just sit back pretty far. I don't touch the keyboard, and it just feels like too much work to lean back towards my table to touch the keyboard just to use a hotkey when I can easily just make an action of it and then use it over here just with one click on my tablet like this. Yeah, I just feel like that's a lot easier for me. Again, I'm just showing you guys how I personally added. This is not like the best way or this is the only way to edit portraits. I'm just simply sharing my personal workflow because a lot of people ask for it. If you prefer hotkeys, go ahead and do that. I know that it helps a lot of people and makes the work a lot easier. For me personally, this is the best way. I've been editing for a very long time, and this is the best way for me. So after I've duplicated the layer, and you always want to do that before you start playing around with your image, just in case you messed up, you want to go back to your original image. I'm gonna go ahead, press filter and liquify. You guys know this is another tool that I really like. I'm just, because we kind of were liquifying that arm, I'm just gonna put it back down a little bit and make this sleeve not as puffy. I know that it's pulling a little bit of our background, but as you can see, I can pull it right back in. Because I shot at 1.2, it's so blurry that you can do literally whatever you want with it, and it's still gonna look pretty natural. And now, the thing that I always do, and I absolutely love doing this, is making the hair bigger. Like, trust me, it will make your picture 100 times better, and it's gonna make it look more magical and just fairy tale like and finished and awesome. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and start pulling her hair to the sides, making it huge, big, voluminous, and all of that. One of the things to avoid is to not make the top of her head too puffy. Uh, I would say try to make the bottom of her hair poof out more than the top. The top should always stay kind of the same how it was, but I'm just gonna go ahead and poof out her braid quite a lot. I'm just gonna make the brush a little bit smaller, and now just make sure that I have just nice curves here on her braid and it's not looking boxy, and just pull whatever. I'm gonna pull this hair a little bit up here, just a touch. Okay, and okay, let's make it a little bit bigger now and just pull even more to the side. Alright, I think this is good. I'm just gonna press OK. And yeah, this is before and after. I mean, it's crazy how much it changes the picture. Like, look at it. It looks completely different. Okay, so we pulled just a little bit here of the background, which I don't really like, but because we duplicated the layer, now we can delete this off. So I'm just gonna go ahead, take my eraser tool and just kind of delete around it. Just like this. Okay, this looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and merge the layers. I guess I should have put the trigger warning before I merged my layers for all the people that freak out when I do that. But yeah, again, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I merge my layers. And again, if you don't feel like doing it, just don't. Just leave it. But I'm gonna go ahead and merge it because I don't know, it feels a lot better to have this like empty here. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate the layer again and I'm gonna start working on her skin. I like to use patch tool. If you don't know where the patch tool is, it's usually in the healing brush set, and yeah, you can just right click on it, and instead of the healing brush, just select your patch tool. If you like using healing brush, then continue using healing brush for your skin retouching. But the way that patch tool works is that you will circle up your imperfection like this right here. And you're just going to move it to the spot where the skin is clear. I just love using patch tool, especially with my tablet, because the editing goes so quickly. And what I also like about it is that not only it will match up the color but also the texture, so that your skin is going to look a lot more natural after you've edited it. I'm going to go ahead, speed this up and show you guys what it looks like in the end. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that for the patch tool. The model has really nice skin, so there is not a lot of texture problems here. What I'm mostly gonna be focusing on right now is matching up the colors because I see some discoloration here, and I'm gonna be doing this with sampling the colors and then kind of placing them on top of her face again. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and merge these layers, make another one, and I'm gonna start with the forehead. I'm gonna match this color right here, and then taking my brush, I'm gonna kind of lightly tap it on top to make the color a little bit more uniform all around. Now again, because I'm using a tablet, I do not need to worry about my opacity, which is why I always recommend you guys get the editing tablet if you are into editing. This is going to make your life like 100 times easier. But if you are using a mouse, just go ahead and lower your opacity to about like 15, 20. You can just play around with it and see how much of it you want. But yeah, I'm just kind of lightly tapping, and this is kind of what it's doing. You see, it's kind of making the colors more uniform all around. And now I'm gonna select this color right here, and I'm gonna place that underneath her eye because she has a little bit like of a darker color there. And again, I'm being like extremely light here, and if some of the color went on to her like eyelashes here, I can go back with the eraser tool and erase that. I'm also gonna, let's take this darker color, and I'm just gonna, I don't really like this shadow right here too much, so I'm gonna lightly tap here and it's gonna make it lighter. And if I think that I put a little bit too much, I can always go with my eraser tool, lightly tap. Again, if you're using a mouse, just make sure the opacity is around 20%. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye right here. Just gonna put it on top there, like that. You just open this. And I always recommend just kind of backing up like this and making sure that what you're doing looks good. I'm still gonna work on this side a little bit more and see what I can do here. Okay, I think that's as good as it gonna get. I'm gonna try to fix it even more later. Okay, I'm just gonna continue with doing the same to her face, sampling the color and then kind of just slightly tapping it on. And I'm always using a soft rounded brush for like all of this editing. And just using the patch tool in between to kind of just help with the texture and for the colors to blend in nicer. Okay, so I think this is it. I'm not sure if I like this line over here. I think it's a little bit too harsh. Let me just try to fix it. Okay, so this is before and after. We worked on the skin. I think that looks really nice, so I'm just gonna go ahead and merge it. Before I start the dodge and burn, I'm just gonna go ahead and play with the tonality of the image. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of some of this like pissy green yellow color. I don't really like it too much. So I'm gonna go ahead to hue saturation in my adjustment layers, and I'm gonna choose, let's choose masters, and I'm gonna bring it to the blue side here a little bit more, and then just bring the saturation down like that. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm just gonna press Control I, and now I can pick my brush and I can just paint that hue saturation layer only in the places that I want it to go. So I'm just gonna kind of sporadically go again with my brush and just kind of paint it all around, mainly just focusing on those yellow bits. I don't want to put it all over. I still want to leave some of the different coloring in. But yeah, I like this way better, so I'm gonna go ahead and merge these layers. So as you guys can see, I have my highlight and shadow action here that I usually just play and go ahead and edit. But I'm just going to show you guys how to make it in case you haven't made it already. Because if you've been watching my tutorials for a while, you probably already have this in your action set. So yeah, let's just go ahead and make it. You're going to go to Windows and then Actions. Your action window is going to pop out, and to start recording you're just going to press this little guy right here and you can go ahead and call your action whatever you want. Let's just call it Irene is awesome, because that's true. We're going to start record, and as you can see, this red light is on now, which means everything that we're going to be doing is going to be recorded. So I'm going to go ahead and get these adjustment layers, and I'm just gonna choose curves, and I'm gonna make it higher over here in the very middle. That's it. And now I'm just gonna press Control I, and this is literally it. You're just gonna go ahead, stop your actions, and just you can kind of press that to bring it up. This is it, you guys. This is the action, and this is going to be for the highlight. So I'm just going to delete this here and show you guys how it works. You're just going to press that, press play, and the action is here, and you can just go ahead and start highlighting with your brush. And we're going to do exactly the same for the shadow. Press this, and we're going to call it Irene is cool. So yeah, we're gonna do exactly the same thing. We're gonna open our adjustment layers, curves, but this time we're gonna lower it down about this much. Okay, and Control I, and stop your action. That's it, you guys. It's done. Here, I'm gonna play it, and yeah, you're gonna be able to go ahead and place your lowlights. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these two because I'm not gonna be using them. I have my actions already made. So yeah, you can go ahead and play your highlight action. I'm just gonna zoom in, and we can start with the face. That's the main thing, is the face. I'm gonna choose my brush. Again, it's always on the round, soft brush, and all you have to do is just kind of intensify the highlights that are already in the picture. So I usually go ahead and make the eyes sparkle a little bit more, maybe make them a little bit brighter. I also like to go in the inner corner right here and right here. Again, you're just kind of looking where the natural highlight is, and you're kind of gonna intensify it. If your highlight is a little bit too much, you can always just play with the opacity and see what looks best, or you can play on the opacity here right after you place it and see if if it's too much. But yeah, this is what we're kind of getting so far. Let's place just a little bit on her nose. And again, if you put a little bit too much, you can go ahead with the eraser tool and take it off. You can make your brush a little bit bigger and go ahead and highlight the cheekbone. I always go a little bit on the chin. Also, it is nice to go over here a little bit with the highlight. Maybe not so much. Okay, let's place a little bit of highlight on her forehead. You just have to be very patient with this and doing little by little. You have to be like very careful to not make it look super fake. I mean, you do want it to look like it's, in my case, I do like it when my pictures don't look real. I like it when it has that sort of fairy tale like feel to it, but you don't want to make it look too fake. There is a fine line between those two. Okay, so this is the highlight that we just placed. I'm just gonna go ahead and also place the highlight over here a little bit on her choker, on her collarbone, a little bit on her shoulder. Again, just anywhere that you see the highlight naturally, you can just go ahead and intensify it. I love putting the highlights on the hair. It just makes the hair come to life. You can also do this on the dress. I'm not going to do it yet. And I always recommend just kind of backing it up to see if you like what you did. Like after I backed it up, I see the places where I need to kind of put a little bit more highlight. And where I don't need the highlight as much. I don't really like that actually. Okay. A little bit more here as well. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pick my background layer and I can play my shadow action, and I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in on her eyes. Gonna make my brush a lot smaller and let's just trace it along her lash line. Can kind of go ahead and intensify some of the lashes. Let's do it on the other side as well. I also like to trace it on her lower lashes. And if someone has eyebrows like her, like I really love this, I'm gonna go ahead and make my brush really super small, and I'm gonna make her eyebrows even more kind of 3D. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of put a lot of little tiny strokes to kind of replicate the hair. Really like that. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Okay, perfect. And again, I like to back it up to just kind of see if what I did was good or not. I'm gonna go ahead and contour her nose just a little bit. It's honestly not even like contouring, it's just I'm darkening some of the shadows. Like to go underneath the nose. I really love to go underneath the lip right here and along the jawline. Can go ahead and make her cheekbone stand out a little bit more just by putting darker color right here in the hollow. Can put a little bit more of the darker color on the sides of her face. Usually slims down the face this way. And I'm gonna go ahead and trace it along her like collarbone, on the sides of her shoulders. This is kind of the same thing that I was doing with highlights. Whenever you naturally see the lowlights, you want to just go ahead and intensify them. Actually, I don't really like it on the nose here, so we're just gonna go ahead and take it down like that. Okay, that is really good. Let's actually put just a little bit more shadows right here. Okay, let's see what that looks like from the far. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and soften it with some highlights. Okay, that's good. And I still see this line over here. Maybe I can soften it out with the highlight. Oh, that kind of worked. Okay, let's see from the far. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just again play with more highlights and shadows. I'm just gonna speed this up now, and I'm just doing exactly the same thing that I was doing before, intensifying the highlights and shadows with these actions. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here for the highlight and shadow. Let me just kind of show you guys what the before and after looks like on the highlighting and shadowing, dodge and burn, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, this is before and after. As you can see, it adds a lot to the picture. This is why I absolutely love doing this technique. Let's go and merge it. I'm gonna play a little bit more with colors. I'm gonna choose the gradient map and I'm gonna apply this gradient map right here. And on this side I have this kind of a grayish blue tone, and on this side a turquoise one. And I'm just gonna go ahead and place OK. I'm gonna change the adjustment layer to multiply, and I'm gonna lower my opacity even lower. I want just a little bit of this. Yeah, just literally this much. I don't want more. I'm gonna go ahead and choose the selective color now, and I'm gonna move the reds and the greens mostly here, so the reds will kind of respond to the skin tones here. So I'm gonna make them more red and darker and a little bit yellow, maybe not as red. And now I'm gonna choose yellows and put them to the greenish side. The yellow will also kind of correspond with the skin tone and change just a little bit of the coloring on the background, because it did have a little bit of the yellows there. Now I'm gonna choose the greens and we're gonna make them a little bit more blue, and we can play with cyans as well. Let's choose the blue colors, play around with this here, and yeah, okay. So let's just see what our coloring did to the picture. So yeah, this is before and after on the coloring. I really like it. I think it looks nice. I'm just gonna go ahead and make the background a little bit more interesting, again with just highlights and shadows. I'm gonna choose the highlights and kind of go ahead and make the highlights stand out a little bit more here, just whenever I see a highlight naturally. I'm mostly focusing this around her. Okay, now I'm gonna choose the shadows and I'm gonna give it a slight vignette on the sides. I'm gonna lower those highlights a little bit. Okay, that looks really good. I'm gonna do something to the hair now. So I'm gonna duplicate my layer and I'm gonna sample up this color right here. So you can see that the highlighted hair is almost like a bluish tint. I really like that. So I'm gonna select that and select a really small brush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and create more strokes with really small brush right where the hair is highlighted. This is gonna give the hair even more dimension. And all I'm doing is I'm kind of interchanging the sizes of the brush to make this look a little bit more natural. So you can go with like bigger strokes and then smaller ones in between. You can just go ahead and follow like her natural hair and add more there. But yeah, I absolutely love doing this. Again, especially where it's framing her face. And I'm also going to be sampling some different colors, different shades of that blue. You can also just right click on the color and make it lighter and add even more highlighting. This might take a little bit of the time, but trust me, it is so worth it because it makes the image look so much more magical. Okay, I think this is it. So this is before and after on the hair. As you can see, it just adds so much more detail to the picture. I absolutely love doing this on dark hair. Some of you suggested this in my last video, but as you can see, if I go to my filter, I do not have the camera raw preset there. I think it's only available on the CC version of the Photoshop. I haven't updated my Photoshop yet. I'm still using CS6. So for me to open this image in camera raw again, I have to save it and then I have to open it this way. Just go to File, Open As, choose my image and choose here the camera raw, and then I have to open it. It is going to be a lot easier for those who have the CC version. You're just going to have to go to filter and you're going to see camera raw there. But all I want to use here is just a little bit more of the clarity filter, so I'm going to use that right now. Just make it a little bit more clear and sharp, and maybe use a little bit more of the contrast. Bring up the shadows up and make it a little bit more vibrant. Okay, I think actually let's go here and saturate the greens and the blues a little bit more and the yellows. Okay, so this is it. Let's just go ahead and open it. Okay guys, so this is the finished portrait. Let's just compare it to the original. Okay, so this is the before and after. It's pretty dramatic, and this is why I love editing portraits. So yeah, this is it. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any suggestions for the future videos, please leave that in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!